a special edition of Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief Ryan Satin, here with my guest co-host today, Jay Washington.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. This is fun.
Everyone was pumped on his last appearance when I was out of town, so
in other words, leave more.
Well, it's good to know I have a backup when I do leave.
Yeah.
But so I, normally Wrestling Sheet Radio, the where we talk about the top stories in wrestling would come out today, but it's a big weekend for professional wrestling. Double or Nothing is starting.
Yes.
It's the kickoff of All Elite Wrestling. It's a big day, I think, Saturday, right?
Do we call it the kickoff or do we call All In? I understand that the name now is official. You get what I'm saying?
I had this exact same argument with someone the other day. Someone explained it to me as I kind of liked their reasoning here. They explained All In as the
soft launch,
as well as like the inception, like it was when the child was conceived, and this is like the birth.
Okay.
This is like the actual like AEW is what can, or sorry, All In was like what can be, and now we're like there.
Okay,
I think, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
But this is the first official AEW event.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So I think that's the real reason people can say this is the launch of a big thing, because I think All In was proof of concept. I think that there is a thirst for this kind of content.
Well, there is, but also I personally was one of the ones that were under the umbrella of, I get what they're doing, but I understand they were rushed with a lot of stuff. That's neither here nor there. To me, the card at that moment looked like an ROH card, so I didn't see anything that felt any different than watching an ROH show from watching All In. I understand what the Bucks and Cody were trying to do, but what we got was different.
I think, though, yes, absolutely in the card itself, but I think what we saw very much felt different than Ring of Honor.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. What we saw completely felt different. It's just the card was like, well, this is an ROH card. I could see what makes this any different. Again, the action that you got, the storylines and things like that were perfect. Now going into All Elite Wrestling, where there's this backing behind it. There's this real push behind it. There's money, there's production, there's all this value gone up and everything. There's full production in the back to make sure, not just with the setup and the lighting and everything. So now it'll be interesting to see how they pull this off, because this has to go well. There can't be a fail for this. Yep. This has to succeed if anybody's going to buy into All Elite Wrestling when it goes to TNT.
Absolutely. I think that, Kenny said on Being the Elite this week, or maybe it was Being the Elite this week, the first one that came out when they were doing their mailbag thing, and they were asking him what he's most worried about for the show, and he was talking about how it's not the wrestling. Like, he knows the wrestling's going to be good. He knows everyone's going to handle their end of their end of things when it comes to wrestling. He's worried about the technical part of things,
Absolutely.
of like someone's name being wrong in a Titantron, or the wrong lights going off, or the wrong music playing for someone. He's like, those are the things he's most worried about, and it makes sense, because for All In, they did have ROH's production team handling that backstage side of things.
Right, and this is something different, and understand there's going to be a lot of run-throughs, a lot of walkthroughs consistently, but that still doesn't equate to the moment of.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
doesn't equate. You can have everything perfect on run-throughs, and the moment you try to hit a button to do a light cue, it doesn't go off. You try to press a music, and the wrong thing plays. There's so much that can happen. And granted, we're not trying to wish bad on All Elite.
No, not at all.
Means.
Far from it. But
it's just that this is the first time.
Oh, and running a television show isn't easy. I mean, running a production, a live thing is hard.
It's hard as well.
I mean, I was talking with Thad here at Collider about it this morning, of just live TV in general, and live events, and how I love live television, live events, live television. I grew up with my dad working in TV, and he had a show called Extreme Gong, where it was like a live version of the Gong Show that was on comedy or on Game Show Network back in the day. Yeah. So it really like got my bug of like live TV, and I know just from being behind the scenes at various live shows when I was at TMZ Live, all those kinds of things. Things happen in the moment, and those are such small, contained in a studio things. This is an arena where there's a lot of things that can mess you up.
And you don't, especially being in this type of arena, the MGM Garden Arena, being on this stage again, all eyes are on them. No matter,
people are waiting for them to fail.
They are waiting for them to fail. And that's the problem. I know some people are going to listen and see this and they'll be like, what do you mean people are waiting? There are people who just don't want them to succeed.
There are people who don't want anyone to succeed.
There are people who are like that. And so the moment any miscue happens on anything, see, told you it was going to be a flop, and you don't want that pressure. You don't need that in the back of your mind, especially if you guys like Cody, you guys like Kenny, the Bucks, who have to go out and perform still on top of worrying about all this other shit. So you don't want that.
No, I mean, I was actually, while you were saying that, I was thinking, God, that's got to be stressful to be the top producer on the show and performing in it. You know, you didn't see like Jimmy Kimmel on that live in front of the studio audience. He wasn't in front of the scenes because he was in front of the camera. He was probably terrified watching it that nothing went wrong.
But think about it. That's a lot of indie shows. I mean, a lot of times you have the promoter, booker, who is still a worker. Now, granted, they may try to put themselves over, which happens, or they may not. But at the same time, while they're worrying about the match they have to make sure everything else on the card is running smooth. And yeah, you can delegate somebody to handle those responsibilities, but when it's yours, it's your baby, it's still on your brain. Yep. So you have these marquee matches. You have a Cody versus his brother. You have the Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. They need to make sure this match is tight because they want to rebound from what they didn't get a chance to do at All In. So it's a lot for these guys. My hat goes off to them for being able to do this and wear both sides of the hats, trying to do this right now. And pretty soon they'll find out if it's too taxing for them. You know, if they got to say, hey, we're either going to be ring competitors or we got to worry about the back end. Granted, you can have all these producers in the back, but it's still your baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from what I've heard, Cody is still going to be the executive producer of the show.
Like, absolutely.
He's going to be the one kind of backstage handling things, you know, like the point person for that sort of thing. And that's what he was at All In. I believe,
he
you
was.
saw him on the headsets. Well, they all were, but okay, overall, because you were talking about the card being very similar to Ring of Honor for All In, do you feel like the Double or Nothing card stands out enough to where it feels like an alternative like they want?
I think it's pushing what they want to push. It does have an alternative. It doesn't seem exactly like what we saw there. It's going to give you a variety of talent you have heard of and you haven't. And I know people will say that's what the All-In card was, but there's something about this, the way they're building it. Again, we didn't get that one match in particular, Dustin versus Cody. That one, and I know it may not sound like much to a lot of people, but that one match in itself separates a lot because, remember, we didn't get the way we wanted it in the WWE.
Yeah, we were supposed to, everyone wanted it at WrestleMania. It never happened.
It never happened.
Yeah.
So now we have it here. That's one thing that stands out. Yes, you have,
especially, and just sorry to interrupt you there, is, you know, I think one of the reasons I'm most interested in that match is, you know, AEW, the whole thing they're trying to push is like more creative freedom to the wrestlers, you know, more control over their characters. And Cody and Dustin did have one match that people didn't love, and they always kind of say, well, that's why they didn't have the WrestleMania match, because their singles match at the time wasn't great.
Right.
I'm interested to see when it's their song they're able to sing and not being told by producers what to do, but it's Cody and Dustin having the match that they want to have. I'm interested to see if it's as good as we all hope it's going to be.
Well, I think because, of course, not having all those extra producers and people in your ear, Cody being the producer and understanding that, both of them guys coming from WWE, and even being in Impact and WCW, knowing how the production works. So knowing what they need to play to, knowing they need to play to their strengths, to the crowd's strengths, what they want to see, what the crowd wants to hear, what the crowd wants to feel, and knowing that the cameras and the positioning and everything, they know how to work this match. And I think they'll be able to I'm confident they'll be able to put together something that'll give you probably 15, 20 minutes worth of solid storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. From what I heard, I think the show's going to be like 4 hours, I believe.
Which we, at this point, like we said, we were talking about it before, certain things have become standard. And 4 hours for a pay-per-view now has become standard. So.
See, I know that WWE has made that the standard, but I feel like NXT is proof that you don't need the 4-hour show. Like, the takeovers are so good, and they leave you wanting more.
I agree. I'm wholeheartedly behind you on that. Yeah, but WWE being the bigger brand, because we always have to look at this with NXT. NXT is that young core that's coming up that's hungry no matter what. So they are going to make sure they want you wanting more. They leave you wanting more. They're going to make sure when you watch this pay-per-view, when you watch this takeover, you're like, oh my God, I got to tune in Wednesday to see what happens. WWE knows that no matter what they do on a pay-per-view, whether people love it or hate it, people are going to tune in Monday.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Absolutely.
And so now AEW can't rely on that. They have to say, we have to make an impact and a splash right now. So when it comes around time, people are ready for it.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think that
excuse me.
They definitely need to have they definitely need to have some sort of hook, and I'm interested to see how this pay-per-view ends while teasing TNT in the future. You know, the because we still don't know when they're going to be on TNT.
We don't know when that happens. We don't know the closing of this pay-per-view can't be just a hand raised. There needs to be, it can be a hand raised, excuse me, but it needs to be a hand that'll let you know this is the future of what we're doing. This is where we're going. There needs to be some moment that everybody is just constantly tweeting about, putting on Facebook, going all through social media. There needs to be reactions about. They have to make an impact, for lack of better words. They have to.
Yeah, it's funny too. We mentioned we were talking about NXT a little bit too, and I think everyone goes like, "Oh, they're coming for WWE. AEW. They want to be competition for WWE." But I feel like before they're in competition with WWE, they're going to be in competition with NXT first. Like they have to defeat NXT before they're in competition with WWE.
And I'm going to go one step further. They're not even in competition with NXT because NXT is still WWE no matter what. We can call it two different companies, but they're still one company. AEW is in competition with AEW.
Okay, fair.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes you are your own worst enemy, trying to do too much if you're not ready for it. Not saying that they aren't, but you can try to put something out that you think, oh, this will be great, and then it doesn't. It doesn't get the response you want, and now it's like, well, this is what we built upon. This is what we were building everything. This is our foundation. How do we go back to the drawing board now? Their competition is themselves, and because NXT is going to be NXT.
True.
You got to remember this. Everybody, most people forget, when NXT loses stars to the main roster, it's done its job.
Of course.
You're not supposed to stay at NXT.
Yeah, you're doing bad if you stayed there.
You're doing bad.
Yeah.
Or unless you got a deal that says...
Tell that to Roka, please, because Roka doesn't understand that when we're doing our recaps. It's always like, the person should want to go back to NXT, and I'm like, you're out of your mind. What are you talking about?
The only time you should want to go back to NXT from the main roster if you need to refresh your gimmick. You need to work on something.
Like a Tyson Kidd type move.
A Tyson Kidd.
Or even like Tyler Breeze.
I was just about to bring up Tyler Breeze. I said this so many times before, even before he debuted. I said Tyler Breeze works at Full Sail because it's a small, contained environment.
Yes.
That is why the gimmick works.
Yes.
His gimmick only worked with Fandango, but that worked as the fashion police. The whole selfie thing, it didn't get over like it was going to because you're talking from 1,000 to 15,000.
Yep.
And so NXT is meant to bring people up. It's meant to do that. So when you have a whole new core of guys and girls and you're like, I don't know none of them, that's the point.
Yes, totally.
That's the point. Yeah. I don't know about you. That's the point.
Yeah.
You may have heard of one or two, but you have a bunch of prospects you've never seen. AEW has people you either know of, you might have heard whispering of, and it's probably nobody you just don't know. They're going to bring in that diehard indie fan base.
Yes.
They're going to bring that fan base that has followed New Japan now, that have followed some of these stars throughout their entire careers. And these stars know that. And then these up-and-comers know that as well because now they have to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get into the card.
Let's do it.
Let's start breaking down this card. Let's start with the pre-show. I'm assuming the first match will be Sammy Guevara versus Kip Sabian.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now Sabian was initially going to be part of the Casino Battle Royale, but that changed when this singles match got added. And to be honest with you, I think it was smart of them to do this. Sammy Guevara was one of the people they highlighted during the press conference in Vegas, and to kind of just throw him in the Battle Royal afterwards, to me, would have felt like they just didn't know what to do with one of the people they highlighted at their own show.
And that would have been a downfall on them. You can't highlight somebody then just say, hey, go in this battle royal, even if he wins it. You see what I'm saying? Because again, it's a battle royal. It's not, we've looked at battle royals now where it's just like, there's no real prestige behind it. It's not, granted, battle royals and Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble has something behind it. Granted, the winner doesn't mean too much nowadays, but a battle royal is just like, all right, we just threw everybody we weren't using, boom. But Sammy Guevara is somebody you highlighted. So you give him this match that is I don't think it's the first match. I think it's the last match right before get ready for Double or Nothing.
So you think the Battle Royale will be first on the buy-in?
It's a depending on what they're doing with the Battle Royale. I would say I would like for it because he's a highlighted guy. I would like for him to be that match that says Double or Nothing right now.
Kind of like they did with MJF and Matt Cross last year.
Yes. How you sit there and say, these are guys we're going to show you. This is the type of things you're going to get. Here's the show. So I would hope that'd be the case. Now, if they decide to say the Battle Royal has something different, it has something that's going to top showing Sammy Guevara or Kip Sabian, either or.
Yeah.
The Battle Royal then will close it out. But it all depends.
Yeah, and I'm also not super familiar with Kip Sabian. I've seen Sammy Guevara wrestle a ton of times.
Yeah.
I can't say I've seen Kip Sabian wrestle a ton, I'm sorry. But I am excited for this match. Everyone says good things about him.
Both guys, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen Sammy wrestle, and Sammy can wrestle. I mean, Sammy's an impressive dude. He's very cocky, but he's also very impressive and backs it up in the ring. That's why he's had so much success in his young career. I mean, he's not that old. He's like in his early 20s. right? Yeah, I think he's in his
early 20s, like I think 23, 24.
That even might be, he might be younger than that. Sammy Guevara, age, let's see, 1993 he was born, so that makes 25.
25.
Yeah.
He'll be 26 this year.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very young dude.
Still a young guy.
Yeah, definitely still a young guy. And yeah, I feel like he's someone they're clearly going to be getting behind. I mean, him, MJF, mainly him and MJF are the two they've used the most since announcing their signing on Being the Elite.
But that's great because you're showing we have talent you've yet to really hear about. We're going to make these names you know about. Again, I was telling Roka this before. It is the formula TNA did. TNA was predicated on saying, look, we got a few guys that have been here and there, but there are guys you need to know. There's this guy called AJ Styles. You don't know who he is? You're going to know. There's this dude named Samoa Joe. You don't know who he is? Here you go.
Yep.
And they built those stars like that.
Absolutely.
So you do that with these guys.
It's funny, too, with Impact. They got – when they got on my radar, I remember when the move to Spike TV was happening.
Yeah.
And they very much – sold it as the alternative at the time, and we're like, I remember reading an article, I forget what magazine it was, but it was like showcasing AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels as like the new guys you're going to want to see in this company. And then when they got away from that, it's when people started to kind of sour on Impact a little bit.
Because we saw that. We were like, oh, this is WCW all over again.
Because Joe, I remember specifically, like, Joe kept getting screwed all the time. It was like, it seemed like it was going to be Joe's moment, and then they handed the title to like another former WWF guy, and you were like, or WWE guy, and you were like, what? Like, that's not why I'm watching
I'm
this.
not watching this for that. And but because you have those big wigs who are in the executive office of TV and production who are like, this is what people want to see. And that's not always true.
No.
You want to see somebody. Yeah, you don't mind seeing somebody from a company you know, but that doesn't mean make them your champ, make them your star, make them your highlight. And I know we'll get to that with somebody on this card, in particular Chris Jericho, but there's a reason he's doing where he's at, and he understands that. You don't want to take older guys, all who are like, oh, well, they're 15 years in WWE, now they're done, they want to come over here, and now you need to strap them. No. No, you become, for lack of better words, enhancement talent.
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought that too, that like, WWE is sometimes smart in the fact that they'll take, as dick as it may be, they'll take the top talent from somewhere else and then show them losing a bunch that's like, our talent is the top talent.
Yeah.
They don't tend to take outside guys like that and then bury their roster with them.
Oh, no, they don't want to. I mean, yeah, they won't do that.
Unless it's like a legend or something like that.
Well, Vince has always been predicated on, I'm going to build my stars.
Yeah.
And that's why when CM Punk was one of the first ones to get over, was a shock, because Vince used to hate. Back in the day when I was on the Indies, the thing was, yeah, you need to have a name, but Vince does not really like if you are a star already.
Yeah.
He wants to build that star. He doesn't kind of want you to have your own identity. He wants to make that identity for you.
Totally.
Now the whole tide has turned. Thank you, Triple H, because Hunter has realized, oh, you really need to pay attention to all of this that is happening around us. I get we run this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that is worldwide and continually entertains people damn near 365 days a year. But our new core of talent, we may find, is already talent.
Yep.
That we just need to bring their fan base to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like funneling in
Yes.
possible people who have gotten away from the product.
Case in point, Undisputed Era. Undisputed Era, if there was not an NXT, I do not think they would even be there.
Oh, absolutely not.
They wouldn't even be there.
Maybe a Kyle O'Reilly, because...
But the problem is, again, here's the problem with that. What were they doing with cruiserweights before then?
Yeah, well, the only reason I said Kyle O'Reilly is because he does have like a little bit of an MMA background, like where he does training and stuff, but he's small. He's small.
He's a
for
small
sure.
guy.
He's a small dude for sure.
You see what I'm saying? So
I don't see them getting a big push. I could just... Kyle, I'm also a big Kyle O'Reilly mark.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just saying that, but I agree with you wholeheartedly that if it wasn't for NXT, I don't think there'd be a lot of guys there. Cassius Ohno or Keith Lee.
Again, Keith is a dude I respect. I have never had the pleasure of meeting him. And a lot of people say, yo, when you work, you and Keith work the same. I was like, cool, I'd love to meet him, blah, blah, blah. My issue is they'll keep Keith on NXT. You know why? Because they have Samoa Joe.
Yep.
And they're Vince them and looking like these are the same guy, for lack of better words. Granted, it takes nothing away from Keith Lee. I want everybody to understand that I'm saying this. It takes nothing from Keith. But look at Keith's style of strong style being a bigger dude that can move compared to Joe's style of strong style, a bigger dude that can move. It parallels each other.
I also feel like, look, I like Keith Lee a lot. I don't know if I, at this point in his career, see the same charisma as a Samoa Joe.
And that's the thing.
He's got a lot of work in that department.
And people forget that when you talk about the WWE, you're not talking about just in-ring ability. I said this on the Smackdown and the Raw recap. The WWE is predicated on two things: character and ring ability.
Yep.
And in many cases, character trumps ring ability.
Absolutely.
So
you said that in the Raw review, and I was sitting in my car just going like, I'm glad he gets it. And he's telling this to Rocco when I'm not there.
Yeah, because it's people forget
that was the thing I was talking about when I was like, I agree with everything he's saying. That was what it was.
Because it's just that you can be a great wrestler. We know this. But the WWE is sports entertainment, and he says that for a reason. You have to entertain a crowd.
Yep.
If the crowd cannot connect with you as a character, they do not care how good you are in the ring.
I think that's one of the reasons there's been a disconnect from NXT to the main roster since Dusty passed, because Dusty really was a guy who cared about characters.
The last character we have that he focused on, and we see how great he is Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of what would happen to the Dream on the main roster. I would love to see what he can do. But I am nervous.
Yeah.
That is one guy I want to go up, but I'm like, God, if he goes up, please let the Dream stay the Dream.
Absolutely.
He needs to be able to do, if I'm going to wear Macho stuff, if I'm going to wear Hogan stuff, you need to let him keep doing what has made him work.
Yes.
He can work in these takeovers. This is a 15,000-seat arena sometimes. Yeah, you might black it out, but it's selling out. Put him in front of the bright lights.
Agreed.
But yeah, like you were saying, yeah, the character part is gone somewhat.
Yeah, and honestly, I hope it's one of my fears of AEW is too much sports centric and not enough of the like fun pro wrestling like characters and stuff.
Well, that becomes an issue because now you have so many people who don't want as much of the character,
I know,
the action, and you have to find that happy medium.
Well, that's why I'm hoping that their backstage segments are similar to BTE, Being the Elite, because I feel like Being the Elite does a good job of like character building, but not insulting the audience's intelligence. It's like you're all in on the joke, as opposed to WWE, where it's like we're in on the joke and you're watching.
You got to figure the joke out.
You got to figure the joke out. I feel like it's like they're very tongue in cheek of like, no, this is, if you're a wrestling fan, you're in on the.
Oh jokes, yeah.
You know,
I believe that's what they're gonna do. Again, I have to trust off Jericho, Cody, Dustin, and I use those three specifically because they've been there, and even Billy Gunn now. Because they've been there. They know exactly what needs to happen. They know exactly what works, what doesn't work, what is too much, and what is too little.
Yep. It also looks like Dean Malenko and Arn Anderson are part of the company now, too.
Which is great.
I don't know for sure. I'm working on it, obviously, but they posted, Cody and Tony posted a picture flying on the AEW jet to Vegas with Dean Malenko. And then Dustin did an interview with Wrestling Inc., and he mentioned how it's great that Arn and Dean are part of the company, but like I hadn't seen that officially anywhere.
Well, I think we're gonna wait till after Double or Nothing.
I think at Double or Nothing they're gonna unveil the belt.
Yeah, they're gonna definitely unveil the belt.
They're gonna unveil the belt. They're going to, and they're gonna say the premiere date of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
They have to say the premiere date of the show.
You can't just have a pay-per-view and let everybody know. Yeah, we got a TV program. It's coming soon. Just keep checking.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
No,
you can't do that at all.
No, and they've already they clearly know when it's going to air. To me, it seemed like a game of chicken between them and WWE.
Well, remember on Being Elite, they even said we've been holding on to the news of this deal we've had the deal,
which is hilarious because it was like all the reports at the time were phrasing as like close to being done. It was like, come on, they were in Atlanta for things around the Super Bowl and stuff. Like,
what do you think they were there?
What do you think? How do you think
anybody that was in Atlanta? Super Bowl is the best cover. If you're doing anything, because everybody converges on one spot, no matter where it is. It just helps that TNT is based out of Atlanta, but no matter where it is, everybody's there. So yeah, the all of a sudden the Bucks and Cody decided let's go to the Super Bowl.
And that was I think even before the Tony Khan stuff came out, and I think they were doing I forget, but I just remember at the time being like Atlanta, and they're all there together.
Something's happening.
Yeah, something's happening. All right, so prediction: Sammy or Kip? Who do you think's winning?
Sammy. I think they're going to highlight Sammy a little more.
Me too.
I think it's Sammy.
I think it's Sammy too, strictly because they've been talking so much about how wins and losses matter, and they've been focused on Sammy, and they've not focused on Kip at all.
And that's the thing. Wins and losses matter. We're doing a ranking system.
Yeah.
So when all of a sudden you start here again, highlighted during the press conference, he's climbing up in the ranks. How do you know? Look at our rankings.
Yep. Exactly. All right, let's move over to the Casino Battle Royale. The confirmed entrants so far: Brandon Cutler, Glacier, Sonny Kiss, Ace Romero, Sunny Days, Brian Pillman Jr., MJF, Joey Janela, Dustin Thomas, Billy Gunn, Jimmy Havoc, Michael Nakazawa, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Queen, and Sean Spears, a.k.a. former WWE star Ty Dillinger. And also keep in mind that the winner of this match goes on to a match at a later date where they're going to be facing the winner of Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, and that match will be for AEW's title, and that'll crown the first AEW champion. So with all that being said, what are you thinking here?
We're getting some more surprise entrants. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Joey Ryan somewhere in there.
Me neither.
But who wins this? I'm trying to think of what is the biggest draw of a match.
I'll while you're thinking, let me tell you my guess here, because I've been thinking about this one all day. We put it on the site earlier today. Hangman Page announced that he is, quote, not allowed to wrestle at Double or Nothing, and said that it's because he hurt his knee when Pac did the whole stomping on the chair thing, right? So, in my opinion, he said he's not wrestling. He's not allowed to wrestle at Double or Nothing. But no one said anything about the buy-in.
Right.
So my guess is he's lucky number 21 in the buy-in. He's the last one, wins it, and faces. We'll get to who I think he's going to face after we get to Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. But I think this puts him in that match, and they're clearly all in on Hangman. No pun intended. Like they want see Hangman as one of their big stars.
And of course. And so I didn't read that. So knowing that, it's definitely him.
Right.
I can't compete at Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Right. You can't compete at Double or Nothing, but you can't compete at the buy-in.
That's my guess. He's gonna be like, no one said anything about the buy-in, and then he took the last one, or I don't know, something like that. Like I feel like he's gonna be the last one because as much as people want it to be Jon Moxley or CM Punk or even Kenta or something like that, I look at it like this. I don't think Moxley is going to be in AEW anytime soon. Punk, my suspicions are up about Punk, but also I think he has another thing going on this weekend that he's supposed to be doing that's the same time, but also he can get out of that probably. But also, I just don't see him being the one that comes out in this match. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
if anything, I could see him doing like a run-in, not even a run-in, like a segment in the ring where then he comes out and does a go to sleep to someone or something.
I would see him actually coming out during a match, because that's how you have to pop him. You can't just do a segment with CM Punk.
Fair.
It has to, him doing a go to sleep with somebody.
The only other reason I don't think that it's going to be CM Punk is because there's rumors that they're going to be doing All In 2 in Chicago. Wouldn't you save it for that, or do you want him to wrestle at that?
No.
So you set it up now.
You sell it as you have CM Punk on your flyer.
True. Yeah, his return match would be at All In 2, so he could set it up.
You set it up at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, it would only make sense.
And that would be the end of if they could close the show with CM Punk hitting like the go to sleep on Kenny Omega. That would be
right. If Jericho, whoever goes over, the other person catches the GTS.
Yeah.
So that is how you end the show. If you're gonna do it, if he's gonna show up, it's a perfect build. Because if he doesn't show up in the Battle Royal, everybody's like, okay, so is he showing up?
And also, you're gonna put the return of CM Punk on the pre-show.
You don't want to waste that.
Come on,
you're not wasting that.
No. That's not how you're gonna get people to buy the pay-per-view. That's how you're gonna get people to be like, that's the creative decisions they're making. They put the return of CM Punk on a fucking pre-show.
So what else do I want to see?
Yeah, exactly.
I just saw what I think I should probably be the best shit of the night. Like,
yeah, totally.
The fuck else do I want to see? Like, I don't care about anything else at this point. Yeah, I don't think, again, Moxley, no. See, here's the problem, too. A lot of people have to remember. Punk is okay. Kenta, I'm not so much sure. But a lot of people, even though they have not re-signed their contracts, some still have the 90-day no-compete clause. I
don't know if Moxley is part of that, and it's tough to really find out things on him. He's very secretive, but I don't know if that would apply because the rumor, the reports are that his contract it ran out.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Even though it ran out, some people still get held to that 90 days.
True.
That's what I'm saying, because if they know, if you're a name and your contract, again, Pac is the prime example. He held out his contract. They waited and still had made him wait the 90 days.
True. True.
Because they knew what he can do. They're doing this to Luke Harper. You're going to be adding an extra 6 months to your contract.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to wait an extra 3 on top of this. So it's possible. Now, again, why he might not show up may not just not be that. There's other reasons. We can talk about that later. But you have to be realistic of who you want to see. And again, automatically jumping to ex-WWE guys is not the best thing.
No.
Punk has been gone for years. So for him to resurface, and if he didn't resurface in ROH, the next best place, is here.
Especially since if there's anything you've seen related to CM Punk and wrestling in the past few years, there's one thing you know, and that is he's still friends with Matt Jackson. Like
no matter what,
he and Matt Jackson they tweet each other all the time. Like they clearly have been friends this whole time.
Right. That means that they're still talking. You know, they still had to have an understanding. Probably Matt, was like, look, if you want to, here's where you go. This is if you want to. However, if you do, this is what I can offer you.
Yep.
Because now we have this money to offer you. Because I know I'll respect what you do. Also, you can tentatively get his wife to come back. Because if you get that package deal,
it's great.
AJ to come over and be with the women of AEW,
Huge.
You already have some stars, but you have somebody who is damn great in the ring. As AJ, perfect.
You also already have 2 opponents built in for him because, Cody and Jericho kind of buried CM Punk on that podcast a few months ago when they were on the Jericho cruise. So probably a year ago now, when they were on the Jericho cruise, they were pretty harsh when it came to CM Punk. They were talking about how he called himself a locker room leader at the time and basically told everyone that he was the locker room leader. And I remember Cody or Jericho, one of them saying something along the lines of if you have to tell everyone you're the locker room leader, you're not actually the locker room leader.
And then hopefully, also that'll go back to playing into him and Matt talking.
Yep.
They have had to have a power hour where all of them sit down, air it all out, because it's how the business goes. Look, we got heat. Let's let it all out right now. So there's no hard feelings, and then let's do business. Let's make money.
And Tony is the bottom line. Tony is the one who makes the final decisions in that company. He's the president of that company.
No matter what.
And he has been very open about the fact that he loves CM Punk.
He loves CM Punk. He is a diehard wrestling fan. He's watched the products.
Yes.
He understands what can grow and what can build an audience. And look, I don't care how much you love him or hate him. I have personal feelings with Punk. People who know me know this.
Same.
But that man is still getting his name chanted at WWE events, no matter what. You can call it crazed fans, but guess what? That crazed little core starts an entire damn arena chanting CM Punk.
Yep. No, yeah, absolutely. I have nothing to disagree with you on that there. There's clearly still an audience who misses him, wants him there.
That man is still money.
Yeah, and I'm literally the exact same way. I'm not the biggest fan of CM Punk. Personally, not
right,
in the ring.
Right. In the ring, I can't deny anything that Phil does.
Yeah, he was
in the ring is great.
He's one of the people that got me to love wrestling again. So yeah, I as much as he doesn't like me,
well, we all had, we all met each other through the indies in Chicago. He was with the LWF. I was starting with a couple of other companies. And, we had our run-ins here and there. Then we went separate, of course. He was doing bigger things. He started doing ROH and touring in Japan. And I remember I met him again a couple of years ago. We had a couple of reintroductions in Chicago. And he was like, I was like, yo, we know each other. He was like, well, I meet a lot of people. I was like, Phil, don't you fucking play with me.
He did that. He did one of those to you?
Phil was like, I said, I'm Willie's tag team partner. Oh, yes, it's me.
I've gotten better at that. I'm terrible with names and faces and stuff, but I've gotten better. This weekend I was in Berkeley for my sister's graduation, and there was a family party, and one of my cousins came up with her boyfriend, and it was like, hey, you met my boyfriend before, right? And he had this look on his face, real excited, and I was like, yes, we did. I remembered, and I normally don't. It was like, yes, nope, long talks, great guy, blah blah. And he was like, oh man, so good to see you. Wrestling, how's Wrestling Sheet going? And I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't forget this guy.
I understand that he's met millions of people all over the world.
And not at the time. He was still on the indies.
But it's we met the infancies of careers, brother. That is where you meet and know people. Even if people don't stay in the business, you know them.
Yeah.
So
no, mine with Punk was more I couldn't get a story killed for him at TMZ. And so he said if he ever saw me in person, he would fight me.
That sounds like Phil Brooks, ladies and gentlemen. That definitely does.
Hasn't happened yet, but I do get nervous that maybe one day he'll see me and remember. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
You know what would be the worst place for that to happen? You'd be in the bathroom taking a piss, and he'd be like, aren't you Ryan Satin? And you just had a urinal with your dick in your hand. Like, you can't do nothing now. You just like...
I just start peeing on it if that happens.
That is a really weird fetish. Okay.
All right, so we're both going Hangman on this one for that match,
yes,
right?
definitely Hangman Page sets it up for all into everything works.
Totally. Okay, so this other match here, we got Aja Kong versus Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura versus Hikaru Shida, Riho, and Ryo Mizunami. Hopefully I didn't mess any of those names up.
I'm not familiar with any of these women. You said you were familiar.
Well, you know Aja Kong.
Yeah, I know Aja Kong.
I'm also not familiar with any of these women. I'll be honest. I'm not Mr. Joshi over here. I do my best, but I'm very much not familiar with these people. However, I went and looked at like some of the OWE guys after, or watched some of their shows after the partnership got announced. And just from one of the some of the reports I see out there is that they kind of feel like the Japanese women and the Chinese wrestlers from OWE are going to be kind of like what the luchadors were to WCW.
I can see that. I can see this.
So I hope, and I think it's more so not necessarily the same style, but just like a very fast-paced thing that the American audience isn't necessarily accustomed to. And by watching the OWE matches, very much I understood what they're going for. It's very colorful, very fast, smaller dudes.
Fast, smaller women, and hard-hitting.
Yes.
You're going to have a strong style women's division damn near. I don't think people get what that means. Like, you see some of the other women go strong, but these are women that's all they do.
Yeah.
Their forearm strikes will shake you. You know, and it's going to be something like, oh, wow. And this is going to be a great thing to highlight for AEW, to have that. It's a difference. Nobody else has this.
Absolutely. And I feel like also, with the success in America of Asuka, of Kairi Sane, and even Io Shirai now in NXT, I feel like the smaller Japanese woman is starting to be a thing that more wrestling fans like in America.
I agree with that. You definitely have three names in particular. And I also just, watching Asuka when she first came in NXT, how dominant she was. Watching this watered-down SmackDown version of Asuka is kind of sad, because you know what she can do. Kairi Sane, I'm like, I know what you can do. I think we might need to let go of this pirate princess for a minute. I understand that's you.
I know. I hate that too. But you're right. You're right. You're 100% right in that.
It's like, I get that's you.
You know what's crazy is I've had this disconnect with the Kabuki Warriors, right? That's what they're called now. Yeah. I've had this like there's something.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
And but to me, I think you're right. I think it's the pirate
Two
thing.
things. It's the pirate princess and them trying to blend their musics.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I already said that because I said to give them new music before they did that. They just need their own music. That's like their own thing. Even Paige's music is better than that weird blend thing.
Yeah, because it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
They aren't on the same chords and beats and anything. It doesn't work.
No, but I didn't even think about the fact that her pirate gimmick is the thing that is like the sore thumb that stands out in that trio of like it's fun on its own, but it doesn't really mesh in there because they all feel like they need to pretend like they're pirates, but they're not.
Right.
And it's confusing.
I would love to see, given Kyrie being the younger talent and younger on the roster to Asuka, follow suit with Asuka. Have the pirate element, but make it look kabuki-ish like Asuka.
Yeah.
And I understand Asuka gave a definition on Twitter, but I would like the looks to mesh. If you're going to be a legit tag team going forward, let's stop with this. We're putting two people together and see what happens. The last time we get those great teams like that. The last great lightning in the bottle I'll always call is the New Age Outlaws. The last great lightning in a bottle. Two people that were never supposed to work together. Yep. But when you have teams that look like teams, that look like, oh, these two are on the same page, same accord, this works.
Yep.
That's for me with that. But
no, I'm totally with you in that regard. Okay, so for this match, I feel like neither of us are gonna front like we know these people.
Yeah.
So I do want to say, I do think though that Aja Kong's team is gonna win strictly because she's the biggest name.
She's the biggest name.
Legend. And also if they're trying to attract like the WCW fan or whatever, I feel like they'll be kind of that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get that. And again, showcasing something brand new, which they're gonna promote. And we'll talk about another women's match right afterwards. But they've said their focus is going to be on their women, which I believe should have been a focus for decades now. Women have been able to beat men's asses in the ring and hold their own with some of the best. And now that we feel like we need to finally put a showcase on, it's great. Should have been happening. And I'm glad that AEW, when they made their announcement, was like, this is what's happening right here.
Me too. Absolutely. And I think that also with the Aja Kong match, or with that team, the reason I think they're going to win is because I think that AEW is trying to go with the whole, like, old meets new type thing.
Which
and Aja, they're both old meets new in that team.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I think that's the other reason. Also, before we get into this next match, do you think that they're going to have, and this is just opinion-wise, obviously, not insight, do you think they're going to have, I was having this conversation with someone else today, do you think they're going to have intergender wrestling in AEW?
I believe they will.
They will, right?
I believe they will. I think because it's been shown it can work, and the WWE had to switch there. When they went to the whole PG-oriented, all that, that is why they stopped the intergender, because it was, it's abuse to women, which in the professional wrestling world, it is not. In the world of women, I need people to understand.
Well, the way it was portrayed back then, it kind of was looked at that way.
But
now it's like strong, badass women who can fuck you up.
They did still have women, though, who had those matches, who were, there were some that was just, we were picking on the women, but there were some, they had solid matches.
Yeah.
So you have that, but people got to remember, the women train with the men when they first start. So this is how they've come in. They choose to take this. They're like, I'm going to show you I can hold my own. So you just don't think I'm just one of the women wrestlers. I can be with anybody. I think we'll do it. I don't think it'll be a every show thing. I don't think it'll be a special attraction. Mm-hmm. It'll be something that's built up, and when you see it, it's worthwhile. Because I think if we just constantly keep doing it, it loses its luster.
Because there's a thing in me, I feel, there's a piece inside of me that I've been wondering where they're going to go with this whole Joey Ryan thing they've been doing on Being the Elite, where they keep talking about the blonde girl. Where's the blonde girl?
Yeah.
Where's your old blonde tag team member? And I just, like, they've been doing it so much that it has to lead to something. It has to be leading to something.
Yeah.
And the Bucks, one of their most famous matches was against Joey Ryan and Candice LeRae in that Guerrilla Warfare match. So I've really been wondering if, like, I don't think Candice is leaving NXT or WWE.
She's not going to leave her husband.
She's not, that's how I look at it. I'm wondering if they're going to introduce a new blonde girl.
They have to introduce a blonde.
That's like the new Candice, and then they're going to be able to build up towards Joey and his new blonde girl versus the Bucks.
It just hit me who that could be. Tennille Dashwood.
Ooh, not a bad idea. The other one that's a good idea. The other one I was thinking, I don't know her name. What's her name?
And the reason I bring up the formerly known as Emma is because you use that name, and people said she was highly underutilized. She was not used at all.
True.
Especially when they were trying to do this new gimmick. She can go. She got hurt again. But now if you do that with the Joey Ryan, you can build that up. You can build her up, and you can do the intergender match where it works.
I agree. I not a bad idea. I also, lesser known person, but, it was reported not long ago that this woman named Sadie Gibbs, who's a wrestler from the UK, that she had signed with All Elite Wrestling. But it's one of the only people that All Elite Wrestling has signed that I've seen that got reported that AEW didn't confirm, which confused me to a certain degree. I was like, why did they hire this girl and not make a big deal about it? They've made a big deal about every signing. And so my only other guess is that they see her as the new blonde girl. And because her signing and the whole "Where's your blonde girl" stuff all started around the same time.
Well, if that be the case, then yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's possibilities.
This is just me putting pieces together of a possibility.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to lead to something, and it doesn't seem like it's leading towards Candice signing with AEW.
I can't see Candice signing unless, because the NXT contracts aren't much.
No.
And I understand her and Johnny being together is a great thing. When it finally happened, everybody was like, cool. I think they've gotten comfortable being that way, but who knows?
Yep.
Maybe they have the discussion. Maybe Johnny's like, if you're going to make more, it comes to the same household no matter what. I love being able to have my wife with me. We do these programs together. But if you're going to have more opportunity and you are a great wrestler, go for it.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. All right, let's move on here to the other women's match. Dr. Britt Baker versus Kylie Ray versus Nyla Rose. Now, I am going to go out on a limb here. I don't know if it's a limb necessarily, but I'm going to go with Nyla Rose. I'm picking Nyla Rose here because even though it's an unknown entity, to the masses or whatever, I feel like their whole inclusivity thing that they want to promote.
Yep, because Nyla Rose being a transgender woman. And I think that would be one of the things, because no matter what, and you guys have to understand this, win or lose, Nyla Rose being in this match makes news.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes.
No matter. I want to go Dr. Britt Baker. I want to go Britt because they've been focusing on her.
Yes.
Heavy.
I
want to go Britt Baker. But Nyla Rose is that you got to pay attention to what they're doing. We're all about inclusivity. We're going to inclusivity all around.
Yep.
And so to put Nyla Rose, give her that victory, and then allow to do more shows their level of inclusivity, shows what they're trying to put forth, and shows that they mean what they say.
I also think that's why they made this a three-way match, because I feel like Kylie Ray will get pinned, and they can kind of like
save Britt Baker. Yeah.
Save Britt Baker, and they can build to Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose maybe down the line or something like that.
That can work.
Because like you said, they have 100%, they have put, similar to Hangman, they have put a huge effort on Britt Baker as like, these are our two young prospects.
Yeah.
Britt Baker and Hangman Page. These are the two that you haven't seen necessarily on a big stage that we think are going to be a big deal. And so because of that, I feel like, and I know their whole wins and losses matter and stuff, but I feel like Nyla does something kind of like maybe a little bit of a cheap win type thing or something like that. There's got to be, it's wrestling still, you know?
Look, every finish for every match is not going to be a clean finish. So let's just call it for what it is. I mean, that would be the whole standard. We're not used to a pay-per-view like that. We're not used to any wrestling event where every finish is clean.
That'd be weird to see.
Man, how long has it been since we've seen that?
I can't think of a pay-per-view I've ever watched like that.
No,
I don't think I've ever
seen that. No. So
let us know if you have though, because I would. I'm trying to think.
Again, every match has a clear-cut, clean pin, top to bottom.
I remember Impact doing it semi-recently, but more so it felt at the time like it was to remove the stigma of every match having that kind of finish that Impact kind of used to have.
See, now if you do that, that's a different thing. I think this, I could see a cheap win, somehow. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, or even just like Britt gets put through a table and then she just, Nyla's able to beat, Kylie Ray while she's not around or something.
That could work.
I'm into that. I like that idea. All right, we'll move topics. Well, you're on the same page there,
yeah,
Nyla, right?
I'm on the same page with you.
Best friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans. Now, Chuck E.T. and Trent Beretta, they were initially going to be part of the Battle Royale, but they, in a hilarious way, forced their way out of the Battle Royale onto the main card, where they're now going to be going against new signees, Angelico and Jack Evans. I actually think Angelico is one of the best signings that they've announced yet. It's
a very big deal when they got him. They're like, yo, this is like, how do I put this in equivalence? Almost when we heard Andrade was coming to the WWE, but you were like, are we going to get the same guy? But you're getting Angelico. You know what you're getting with this. Yeah. You're not getting anything different.
Yep.
You're not going to get a pulled back version. So I think this is a big signing, and Jack Evans does what Jack Evans does.
Yep.
So this is going to be a great match. I much love to Chuck Taylor. Much love to him. I mean, IWA Mid-South days, always going to go back to that.
Yep.
But I think you're going to put over those two. You're going to put
Angelico and Jack Evans?
Yeah, Angelico and Evans. You're definitely going to put them over.
Well, I think so, too, because you have to look at the future, and I think that if you're trying to build up an awesome tag team division, as much as I like Best Friends, they are the comedy team in the division right now, and I think that, Angelico and Jack Evans are, if you didn't watch Lucha Underground and you're not familiar with these guys, Jack Evans obviously did a lot more than just Lucha Underground, but if you're not familiar with these guys, I feel like you'll be in for a treat here, because Angelico, to me, was one of the, Angelico and Ricochet were the two standout performers of Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
Those two guys, I mean, Angelico's dives from the top of the office to the ring.
Unnecessary. Like, look, I get when there was Lucha Underground, again, you want to make your product stand out. Hey, man, you want to have a long-lasting career.
That's all I'm going to say,
You want to live a little longer.
When I get there on Saturday, I am going to be looking to see if there's like something far to dive off of.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're going to try and maybe have him do one of those.
All of a sudden, there's just some random scaffold. I don't know.
just gets brought in out of nowhere.
You're like, none of this makes sense.
Why is there scaffold over there by the lights?
With a plank on it that looks like it's rather sturdy. Like, no.
That looks like it's rather sturdy. So I also feel like, I'm happy that Jack Evans is on the main card, because I feel like one of the things that AEW is also doing is kind of like, you can see them taking the people who should have been a bigger deal or should have been in a bigger role 10 years ago or 5 years ago and kind of bringing them, along. So you got even like a Rick Knox, who is one of the best referees and hasn't really been making tons of money doing that, I imagine, or at least being put out on a big, being seen on a big stage, or even like a Bryce Remsburg.
I was just about to bring Bryce deserves every look. If you do not know who Bryce Remsburg is, check him out. I've had so much fun working with Bryce in my Chikara days. To work with Bryce is amazing. Bryce is one of the best referees that deserves more spotlight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of people you see them hiring are along those lines, and that's why I was really happy with Jack Evans, because Jack Evans, like, he might have people who don't like him or whatever, but I mean, Jack Evans is insanely talented. I mean, that guy is flip master.
Yeah, and I guess there's the one spot from ROH with the cage.
Yeah.
And everybody remembers that. And it's like, there are guys, I get sometimes what the behind the scenes in locker room that you don't see play a factor. It definitely does. But that's in any industry, no matter what. But you still can't deny what he does, and he's productive. Now, I understand some people will say, well, through those same lines, Teddy Hart. Well, there's a whole lot more behind that. You know what I'm saying? Because he's very talented in the ring.
Yes.
But his behind the scenes, things like that have, hindered his career per
Absolutely.
se. So, but to see Jack Evans have this opportunity is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. And Angelico and Jack Evans have to win this match.
Yeah.
It would make the most sense. Okay, so then we've got SoCal Uncensored versus SEMA, T-Hawk, and El Lindaman from OWE. For me, similarly to that last match of like, if wins and losses are mattering and you have to get things over for the TV show when it hits, I don't know if I feel like a SoCal Uncensored is one of those acts that you have to protect. They seem like they're an over act that can lose, and they don't really lose much when it happens. Do you think they need more credibility?
I don't think, no, and this is going to sound weird when I say this. I don't think they need more credibility. I think you want to spotlight Scorpio Sky.
Okay.
I think it's more so Sky.
Okay.
We know what Danny, shouts out to the Windy City Pro Wrestling days. We know what Kazarian can do. I remember the show we did back in Wisconsin where I had him cracking up laughing in the locker room. We know what these guys can do. SEMA is we know what SEMA, he's legendary. Yep. We know what he can do. We know what these guys can do, but I think it's the spotlighting Scorpio Sky.
Okay.
That's where I'm zooming in on.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't really think about it until you mentioned that, but in looking at all this and just optically, like, there hasn't actually been like a black guy that they're centering on at all.
Again, inclusivity.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that until now. With the inclusivity thing, and you have the Japanese women match, and I know Chinese and Japanese are obviously very different things, but yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point that I didn't really think about, that they should spotlight Scorpio Sky.
They're going to spotlight him because he's always been on that verge where he should be a breakout.
And he's like a Jack Evans too in that regard.
You need to see Sky is amazing at what he does. He can get over, and you want the world to see that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, actually, now that I think about it. As much as I think the OWE guys are going to be important, I do think that they're going to play an enhancement talent role for the most, not everywhere, but when they are facing some of the more
and there are going to be times
talent.
where they're going to put them over and they're going to spotlight them as well. But again, this is the kickoff. You need to spotlight the guys you want to spotlight. Danny and Kazarian we know what they've done from Impact. We know what they've done all over the world. It's not knocking them. It's the Sky part. And I understand this is a trio of SoCal Uncensored, but it's Scorpio Sky they want to make sure they spotlight.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, and I think that someone like a SEMA, he can take a loss and it won't really
won't affect him.
No, it won't affect him at all. He's going to work behind the scenes probably, or helping with the OWE talent, and so really it's just giving him a spotlight match while putting someone over like a Scorpio Sky. So yeah, I'm with that. I like that. I like that call. All right, next up, we've got Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. Obviously, one of the big matches of the night, one of the three main events, I'd say. And, we talked about it a little bit before, but I really am. I think this is one of the ones I am most looking forward to.
Yeah.
I think that because we never got the big WrestleMania match between the two of them, this is like the chip on their shoulder. I mean, we know Cody works best when he has a chip on his sholders, and this is like two Rhodes with chips on their shoulders.
Yeah. Again, you have the younger brothers like, I can do this. I'm just as good as you. And the older brothers like, I'm not the one you put out the pasture yet. I can still, which we saw In his last real WWE run, he was hanging with some of the best. So to watch,
I was pumped at the time when he was coming out as the natural again. I loved that.
I was like, well, all right, let's do this.
Me too.
All right.
Me too.
So to see what these two are going to do, like I said earlier, is going to be amazing. This is going to be great and epic storytelling. I expect to hear a lot of, I'm better than you. Just the yelling at each other. You know, the brother who yells at each other. I'm expecting a lot of that. I'm expecting this match to be hard-hitting because there's a rule in wrestling. You will beat your friend's ass or your family's ass. You will whoop each other's ass. But somebody you don't know, you'll take it a little bit light on.
Yeah.
So they're going to put it in with each other. They're going to give you a match. You're going to be like, yo, are they really mad at each other? You're going to look like, who said something? This was from when they were 12, right? This is when they were kids. This is what this is for. But I expect a great match. Who goes over? I think Dustin puts his brother over.
Yeah.
I think Dustin, and I say that way because everybody be like, Cody goes over. Yeah, but Dustin is going to put his brother over.
Yep.
You know, there's a whole different way, a whole different meaning behind saying that way. He's like, look, this is you. I believe in you. I trust you. I respect what you are doing and what you have done. This is you.
And I'm even like, I'm following. Look at I quit my job.
I'm following you.
You know,
yep.
you're
this
doing
is yours.
This is yours. Like, yeah, totally. I think the same thing. I also don't think it's his last match. I don't think it's
absolutely.
People think that it's gonna be like his last match. I don't think this is Dustin's last match. If anything, I feel like we'll get a little bit of Rhodes Brothers down the line once the TV show comes around. And maybe this is the end of his active full-time wrestling career possible, but I don't think he's retiring or anything like that. I also feel like because Cody's been saying he wants to kill the Attitude Era and all that stuff, I feel like we're gonna get a serious mean streak in this match. We're gonna get mean Cody for sure.
And especially coming out as the American Nightmare.
Yes.
You know,
I think that because of that, with the whole American Nightmare thing, I think the face paint has been what's the word I'm looking for? The red herring. I don't think he's coming out in face paint.
You don't think he is?
I think he's going to be the natural. I think he's going to come out
just as the way he used to.
Yeah, or something he wore when he was with Dusty or something like that.
It's going to be the match, no matter what, is a tribute to their dad.
Oh, absolutely.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So I agree wholeheartedly. While Cody's the American Nightmare, look for Dustin to do something.
The American Dream.
The American Dream, something his dad did. And so no matter who goes, again, it's Cody. No matter what this match is, it's all a tribute to Dusty.
Yes, absolutely.
Please don't have the Dusty finish, though.
No, don't do that.
Just don't do the Dusty finish and we're good.
Yeah, because I was listening to the Wrestling Inc. interview with Dustin Rhodes, and Nick Hausman, who did the interview, was asking.
Shouts out to Nick. Yeah, that's my homeboy.
Yeah,
man.
Nick's the best. He was asking about the face paint, and Dustin was like, "Who said I'm going to be wearing face paint at the event?" And he was like, "Well, you're on the poster wearing face paint, so I assumed you were going to be wearing face paint." And Dustin kind of he made it seem like maybe he's got something else in mind. So that's why I think too we'll see some sort of Dusty.
I want to see him in a
tribute
in a polka dot singlet with the jeans on.
I was almost thinking if he's going to have pants like he used to that are polka dot, but it's also very Tommy Dreamer. But I'm wondering if we're going to see some sort of polka dot related thing.
We're going to see something polka dot.
Yeah, I think
so
too. I think so too. And yeah, I'm with you. It has to be Cody. It'd be silly if not. And I know that everyone goes, well, what the fuck? Are you really just going to pick all the elite guys to go over? Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I am. It's their company. They're the people. The reason people are tuning into this company is for these guys. They're obviously going to be at the forefront.
And then the comments will be, well, it becomes super predictable. It's like, yeah, here's the thing behind that. They're going to go over, but it's not going to be as simple as you think. These guys all know how to tell stories in the ring, where these guys all have a match where you think, well, damn, maybe they're not going over. And there might be some surprises. We never know. You never know. But as you want to spotlight that talent that you have. Anybody that the Bucks, Cody, Omega, all of them put their names behind and they put out in the forefront, those are the people you're going to have spotlight.
Absolutely. And it's like, all right, well, since we're here, I do think the only person from the Elite that's going to lose is this next match.
Is the young, that's the one.
The one person. So we're at there's also the AAA World Tag Team Championship. It's the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. And because it's for the AAA World Tag Team Championship, because the Lucha Bros are one of the top acts on the indies, because they probably had to do a lot to get them there, and because the Young Bucks, let's face it, the Young Bucks haven't wrestled in a long time. It's been a while since they were like, full-time wrestling since the announcement of AEW and since they left Ring of Honor. So because of that, it does make the most sense to put the Lucha Bros over here.
Look, you're talking about Phoenix and Pentagon Jr., two dudes who are over around the world.
Yep.
Again, people have tried to understand why those two aren't, for lack of better words, in the WWE.
Yep.
Pentagon Jr., when he got brought into Impact, everybody was like, okay, cool, now we're seeing some good matches. Where can he go from here? Even Phoenix. So to watch these two together, to know that, Matt and Nick have taken some time out, hopefully to get the rust off, to work some things out with the guys. I see them putting the Lucha Bros over. And again, you can build off the Lucha Bros. Why? Because there's no loss to the Young Bucks.
No. And you do need some Mexican talent on the show, too. Like, as like a Mexican dude, like, I'm pumped when there's other Mexican wrestlers on the show and stuff. And so, similarly to Scorpio Sky and Nyla Rose, I think you go look at, we are all about everybody. We got a Mexican tag team champions. We've got this over black dude. We've got a transgender woman.
We're just showing you our
we're the opposite of WWE. It's not just all white people that are like at the top.
And I know people say, well, look at the WWE now.
I know Kofi Kingston's champion before everyone gets on my ass, but that's a new thing.
But it's look at the WWE now. Like, this wasn't out the gates. And I know people say, well, back in the day, you couldn't do it. You could have if you pushed the issue. If you're a company in the WWE's position, which you've been in for over 20 years, you've had the power to enact that change that everybody keeps talking about. And now all of a sudden, because you've been hearing the backlash, you just want to wait late to it. You don't have to now. You can be, and AEW is doing it off jump. This is what it's about. It's not just because these people are of different descents, different sexualities, genders, orientations, or whatever. It's because this is talent that you need to know about.
Yep. And they're not being looked at differently because the person on top doesn't maybe see diversity in the same way. I mean, like, these people, it's not necessarily they're going to, in my opinion, put over because of their race or their gender. It's just diversity out there, and it's the talent, like you said, like they are very talented, and sometimes, like I was watching that Jefferson special last night, and they were, it's a script from the 70s, but they're the All in the Family one, but they were talking about, there was Anthony Anderson talking about, like, how the person who had the same job as Archie Bunker was probably 2 times smarter than he is. And that is a thing that still has to happen. You have to sometimes, like, in the world, minorities do sometimes have to be a little bit better than the person that they have the same job as. And so I think sometimes these talent do get overlooked and stuff. And so I really would like to see the Lucha Bros, treated like tough, badass Mexican dudes, as opposed to Lucha House Party, where you've got, like, they come out with sombreros and noisemakers and piñatas.
As God is my witness, I want to see Lindsay do so much more.
Oh, it's infuriating.
I know what Lindsay can do.
All 3 of them.
I know what all 3 of them can do, but I know what Lindsay can do, and we don't get a chance to see that as much.
Same for Kalisto. Kalisto is, like, so talented.
Let's never forget
Grand Metalik is so talented.
Let's not forget that program he had with Ryback. Regardless what it was, he was working.
Let's not forget Grand Metalik in the Cruiserweight Classic.
In the Cruiserweight Classic. And I know this is something when it comes to the Lucha Bros, I have to say this directly to camera. I need some of you guys who've been following the indies to take your mindset out of this. The indies know who these guys are. The indie fans know who these guys are. This is getting the world to know who these guys are.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. So, yes, and I think that they... in this show, they have to have someone from the Elite lose. They have to.
And again, if it's got to be the one, let it be the 2 guys at the forefront. The brother, and I know why people go back to, well, what about Cody? Dustin is the older school guy who's like, again, I followed you. I'm following you. Cody, and what's funny is Cody probably has been pushing, I'll put you over.
Probably.
So let's not look at it as all the guys automatically said we all are going to go over.
Yep.
So Cody may have been like, yo, Dustin, I want to put you over. And Dustin was like, no, this is yours.
Yeah, I agree. We're at the main event now. We'll get to the main event now. And I will say I am on the fence here. This is the one where I actually don't know who's going to win because so the main event, obviously, Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, Alpha versus Omega 2. Mm-hmm. And if I recall correctly, Kenny won the first one, right?
Yes, he did at Wrestle Kingdom. Kenny got it.
So I feel like...
because we got to end up having the rubber match.
We got to have the rubber match. So... and I always thought that they were going to have... Kenny won Wrestle Kingdom, and then Jericho was going to win on his cruise, and then they were going to have a rubber match down the line. Yeah. That's what I thought was going to happen then.
I guess everybody thought that.
So now that we're at part 2 of their matches... you would think Chris Jericho would have to win this one. And if I have Hangman winning
I was just
the
gonna
Battle
say,
Royal,
it looks good having
Hangman versus Jericho at All In 2 with Hangman beating the Legend
for the championship. And then Kenny Omega potentially versus CM Punk if he comes out.
Exactly. That's kind of how I've been looking at it too. I go, it does kind of make more sense now. If you don't want the perception being, oh, they just made this vanity federation to put themselves over. You know, out of all the elite, there's only one guy out of the group that is not executive vice president, and that's Hangman.
And it's Hangman.
And so you go Hangman versus Jericho does put Hangman over in a huge way.
And I know people are thinking about, well, what about Pac? He's still going to have his place. He's still going to have a place in the company.
And you can still do Pac down the line once he's lost the title and Hangman's the first champion and he goes, well, you weren't able to beat me.
And then that's how it goes. So you got to look at this pay-per-view again. This isn't a one-off. This is the setup. This is the beginning.
And in an interview Cody did, he said they have now booked, I think he said the first 6 to 8 months of AEW. So they booked it.
So this is a show. This is a story now where we're in storylines. It works. Omega going over is that whole. Yeah, but again, you get Omega versus Hangman Page if he wins the Battle Royal.
And that's not to me. That looks like more of a Vanity Fair.
That's a vanity match. That's a All Elite Wrestling is literally just about us.
Yes,
and I hate to say it that way, but that's what that together looks like.
Agreed.
But if you have Hangman win the Battle Royal, Jericho wins it. Jericho he is an old school guy who was about putting these young guys on my back. I'm using my name to bring them up. I don't care about going. I've done everything I wanted to do. When I went and faced Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, what did he do? He put Omega over.
Yeah.
He could have. Jericho has that name to come in and say, we'll do the match, but I go over.
Yeah.
He put Kenny over. So now Jericho goes over because it builds the story going forward.
The only thing is like, since it seems like they don't want like false finish, I feel like the main event can't have a dirty finish. It can't have a run-in or a distraction. And I do feel like Jericho beating Kenny clean in the main event is a little troublesome. No? It doesn't show like, I mean, I know Jericho's a legend, but like Kenny is going to be one of the guys who's going to be the faces of the company.
I don't see it as anything troublesome. Like, again, when we say clean, there could be, you could have a miscue.
True.
Again, when we talk about clean, we're not just talking about hit a code breaker, boom, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
We're talking about he goes for everything. Everybody goes, the Angel's Wings, and all these different things happen. And there's a succession in this spot that leads to a counter. And it could be a quick, that could be something. Mm-hmm. That could be something. We don't have to always have this clear-cut hit a finisher, 1, 2, 3. There's nothing wrong with it. But you've seen so many counters, so roll-ups and things like that. Or you could even have Jericho put his feet on the ropes. Jericho is technically the heel in this.
Do you not think that people will be mad if the first AEW pay-per-view ends with like a shitty finish? I shouldn't say shitty. What's the word I'm looking for? Just like not a clean finish. Yeah.
It depends. Again, a lot of things have to play in the fact forward. I think people are going to be mad no matter what. Let's just be honest. I think people are going to be mad no matter what the finish is, no matter what. People are going to say if Jericho goes over, oh, you couldn't put over Kenny Omega. If Omega goes over, oh, you just had to put over the elite guys. Again, there's going to be arguments in either way.
Yeah.
And I think, again, this goes back to the production and the people behind the scenes. You have to realize that and not let that get to you.
Yep.
There is going to be some type of discussion no matter what.
Yeah.
There's going to be people pissed off. You're never going to make everybody happy.
Mm-hmm.
Never. No matter what. Look, I'm going to go to another promotion real quick. There's The Undertaker versus Goldberg at Super Showdown. Who wants to see this? Not everybody,
No.
but there are some. And I bring up, there's a small amount. Very, very small. Ooh, Jesus. It's his Forged in Fire audience. It's fucking Forged in Fire audience. But it's Jericho Omega, as much as the match is great, no matter who wins and who loses, people are going to be upset.
Yeah.
And so, again, if you're going to pop Punk to set up All In 2 in Chicago, after the match is over. Even if it's that quick 1, 2, 3, Jericho rolls out again, heel gloats, goes up the ramp, everything. He's there. Omega's in the ring, pissed off, selling. All of a sudden, music comes out. Everybody's like, he's not there. You don't see him come from the ramp. Punk can potentially come from over the railing. Boom. Yeah, I just called a whole finish to a production of a show. That is what a professional wrestler does.
If that happens, though, you're going to look like a fucking psychic, though. Like, everyone's like, damn, dude. Jay Washington, what are the lottery numbers?
But that's how, those things, you can pop it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking as a wrestler's mindset that's looking at the fans. It's like, if I'm a fan in the crowd, what's going to have me jump on my fucking seat?
Totally.
What's going to have me going, oh, shit.
Yep.
And even if you put Kenny Omega over, okay. So here's the thing. You could, because Paige is not going to be a heel, so Paige is not going to attack Jericho. So no matter what. And again, this is all predicated on Hangman Page winning the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
This is all predicated.
True. Yeah, it's a very good point. Because I will say this much. If Paige doesn't win the Battle Royal and it's someone else, I very much expect Kenny Omega to win.
Yeah, it all depends.
Yeah.
You have to see that. So a lot of stuff is predicated on the pre-show.
Yeah.
But if it all falls in that way, then you can have that type of ending. You can have that type of show.
Yep. All right. So final answer, Jericho.
Jericho.
I'm going Jericho too.
I'm going Jericho
as well. All right, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear who you think are going to win all these matches. Do you think Kenny's going to be the one to beat Jericho? Do you think the Bucks are going to hold on to the AAA World Tag Team titles? Do you think Dustin is going to stick around by beating Cody? Probably not. I don't think you think that. But if you do, let me know anyway. Hit up the comments below. And while you're here, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It all helps me out a lot. Helps everyone else out here too. So please do it. I appreciate it very much. Jay, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. It's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY Washington80, and the Mad Titan podcast. Everywhere you get your podcasts on, I get you caught up on everything that's happening in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. It is barbershop talk for nerds, so come on in the convo.
And you got your own wrestling show too.
Yes, you can catch me on the Wrestling Compadres weekly on Dragon Wagon Radio with myself, Scott Narver, Dale Rutledge, and Jake Lloyd. We had another compadre, but for some reason he's gone to greener pastures.
Yeah, I think he's got a new name now.
He's John Quasto in NXT. So
I like the video he did this week on the 24/7 title.
Yeah,
that was good
with Montez and Bianca.
I like the one with Stokely. Stokely said that he vows to be the first NXT 24/7 champion. I love it. Good stuff. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you mentioned your wrestling show because I have everyone going like, make Jay come on the show more often. I'm like, well, Jay also has his own wrestling show where you can hear his opinions.
And also, like I said, I do compadres, and I also love coming on here. I love talking about the business I spent 16, 17 years in, which I've lost all this weight to get back in shape to try to get back in. So, hey, that's something you just heard. But so yeah, I love this business, man. And I love talking about it.
Yeah, and I do my best to bring Jay in here when I can. I was telling him before we started recording, it was like, I kind of want Jay to come in and do the Double or Nothing preview. And literally minutes later, he walked in the door. And I was like, hey, what shows are you doing today? And he had like this hour gap in the middle. And I was like, oh, yes, perfect. So I'll do my best to get Jay on here more often, I promise. But in the meantime, make sure you check out everything that Pro Wrestling Sheet is doing. ProWrestlingSheet.com. That's where you can check out all the top stories of the week. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where you can watch all the videos that we do here. And if you want to listen to the podcast while you're driving, working out, cooking, all that kind of stuff, make sure you search Wrestling Sheet Radio on all podcast platforms. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out for now. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet. Also, enjoy Double or Nothing this week.